Welcome back everybody once again for today's video of DIY investing. Today I wanted to keep things short and simple by giving you guys a quick Bitcoin update. There's a lot of interesting things going on in the market right now that I know that you guys are definitely going to want to check out and see an alternative perspective moving forward. I think that we could be seeing the early signs of a sell-off coming in Bitcoin, which is going to have a monumental effect on the overall market. Does the recent ETF decision have anything to do with the price of Bitcoin? Today I'm going to be talking about all of these things in this analysis and show you guys exactly what I'm thinking moving forward. If you guys like my videos and want to see more of them, always do myself a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates in the future. If you guys like my analysis and want to see more than that, click the invitation in the description of this video and there you're going to get access to my Discord server. Currently we hit over 100 members, so thank you guys so much for the support. It really does mean a lot to me to see you guys growing in such a fast and thriving community, and I do know that there's a lot more headed our way, so just stay tuned for that. Overall, thank you all so much for the support of my YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to me. You guys have no idea. This thing is growing very quickly, and I'm just excited to have you guys a part of it. So with all that being said, let's jump right in the video today. Alright guys, welcome back. We're going to dive straight in by taking a look at Bitcoin. Today's obviously a Bitcoin update, so we're going to dive into the shorter time frame to start this off. Now, there's some very interesting things happening currently with Bitcoin's consolidation. Obviously, we had our initial peak up here, and then this brought us down to this massive sell-off where we saw it wick all the way back down to about the $6,200 area, or the floor of this 6K support that held us for so long in the bear market. Now, what we're seeing right now is prices are looking a little bit weak up here. Now, what we're seeing is prices reacting to the supply zone right here, and we're getting rejected off of that. Now, remember, supplies are zones, they're not just specific lines, and so we have a couple different price reactions about right in here. And so there's showing to be a lot of resistance in this time. It doesn't look as if this support that we're seeing right here is going to hold much longer. And it looks as if we're about breaking through that right now. Remember, the more times that a supply zone or a demand zone is tested, the weaker that gets. Now, we've made lower highs for 3 consecutive moves right here. Now, even though we're able to still maintain this upward trajectory, this is showing to me a little bit of weakness, and it's showing that there's lots of sellers that are starting to jump in and short this market, especially with this initial drop. Now, I think that part of the big reason why it bounced up so quickly was because there was a lot of orders sat down here waiting for people to buy up when we came back down and retested this. I don't think that most people suspected us to just drop so suddenly back down to this floor. I know I didn't. I was expecting a sell-off of 20%, and we got that, but it happened significantly faster than I was expecting it to. Now, with all that being said, there's a couple key factors that I want to point out in here. I think that when we sold off and we hit that 6K support and that floor, it shot prices back up to retest the supply to really make sure, because this is just proving to be a big consolidation between the bulls and the bears, waiting to figure out which one's going to assert market dominance. And so you're seeing a lot of choppy movement right here. Now, I want to add that this is coming after the very parabolic push that we saw in Bitcoin, where we had massive sell-off, prices run back up, and now we're seeing more bearish continuation, or based off of what I can tell with this is looking more bearish to me. Now, with that being said, I think that if we can't hold support right here, basically where we're at, right here at about 77.25, I think if we can't hold support, then that's going to look very bearish, and we will come back down to retest probably the $7,400 area right in there. That'll be my next support zone. And if we can't maintain support on that, then really your last bet is going to be right here at about, let's see what price that is, at about 7,100. And so these are really my 3 support channels. Now, something to keep a note, guys, if we break all the way down here at about 7,100, then that's a signal trend shift, right? The trend has now shifted because we are going to make a lower high, right? We bounced back up into supply, and now if we break right here, that now becomes resistance before we continue to fall lower in this upcoming cycle. And so this is the same thing that I pointed out back here with my last update when I called this sell-off. I said that this looks a lot like a double top. And I said that if we sell through this support floor here at about 77.25, then that signals a trend shift, right? And a trend change. And that's what happened. We sold through that floor, had a massive sell-off that took us all the way back down to the 6,200 floor. And now we've got a momentum rally on the opposite end. Now, right here is kind of a really decisive point for Bitcoin, because we're trying to figure out if we got enough buy support and liquidity to shoot us up for another higher high in this cycle. But it's not looking like that will be the case right now. Now, obviously, I don't trade news, but we did just get denied from the ETF. I think that was a big reason for this initial push in the first place. People were buying the rumor of this ETF that was supposed to come out in May, and so then they were expecting prices to have this major super parabolic push, and then that's kind of what happened. But now it looks like we're getting a retrace after that. Because keep in mind, guys, these markets can't constantly just go up forever. I know there's many people in pure euphoria right now waiting to see 10K, and I'm starting to question whether or not we're actually going to get that in this time. For me, it's much more reasonable to think that we're going to get a retrace after this initial parabolic push, and I'm going to show you what I mean based off of an Elliott wave perspective. But before I throw on the Elliott waves, I want to actually go through and label the fibs. Now, if we retrace from here, I'm going to be looking at these specific areas to be buying. We got the 382, which takes us back down to basically the base of that wick that we saw. And then here at the 5, these are going to be my two zones for buying right here at about 5,900 and about 6,500, right in there. It's possible we came all the way down to test the 618, but I find that very unlikely with this being a 3-wave. I think that we're going to hold support on this 6K floor before we go higher. But based off of my actual Elliott wave count, it's looking something like this for me. This was the 1, and then we just finished the 3. If we continue to retrace, it's still possible we could go higher, but this is looking more and more bearish to me based off of technical analysis. And then I think we'll have one more final 5-wave push that'll take us close to about 10K. And so this is kind of what I'm watching out for. Let me change this up a little bit, make these a little bit bigger for you guys. Because we just finished the 3-wave based off of this count. 1, 3, and then 5, right? Let's change these a little bit. This should finish out the 3-wave, and now we're retracing into the 4. And it makes sense to me, just based off of the previous cycle that we saw with Bitcoin at the top of 20K, this all looks very similar to me. We had a massive parabolic run. That parabolic run had an initial sell-off, and in that initial sell-off, we saw a very strong sell-off. Now, I think that the reason why we kind of bounced back up into this cycle was because of the fact there was so much liquidity sitting down here from people waiting to get filled. And so that's really why we skyrocketed back up to retest the supply zone up here at about 8,300. But I'm kind of watching for the similar thing to play out as what we saw here at the top, where we had massive parabolic run, prices sold off, and then you see these big, strong sell wicks before prices kind of get enough momentum to come back and retest some of these previous highs before going lower in the cycle. And so right now I'm just watching for that trend change to happen. As soon as we break support down here at about 7K, that's going to look very bearish. It's already looking very bearish to me. It looks like we're getting quite a strong rejection and reaction off of this resistance level. And so I'm expecting it to kind of play out as more of a bearish perspective. I think that with this parabolic push, that was all we could muster before we need to come back down and retest some of these lower support levels, get a little bit more liquidity in the market before we go further up. Now, it is possible that we go higher. That's always a possibility. This could be a 1-wave that we're seeing right here. Get a short-term retrace before we break out and go even higher, and then that would put me closer to that 10K marks, probably something like this. But likely not going to happen. Just the way that this market looks to me, I'm definitely leaning to more of a bearish sentiment. But with that being said, this is kind of my couple targets for watching this retrace. I don't think we're going to break this 6K floor. I definitely think we'll maintain support of that before going higher into the final 5-wave of this cycle. Now, what's going to happen alts in this time? Because that's going to be very interesting to watch for. Are we going to get a major capitulation event that happens right here in this sell-off? Or when we sell off, is that going to kind of put some of this new money into these altcoins? And so there's a couple cycles that can happen based off of me trading and based off of me following these cycles. One thing I've noticed is the Bitcoin and the alts parity with each other and ride together in the 5 waves. And so we had the 1 of the 3, we had the 3 of the 3, and then in the 5 of the 3, this big impulsive move, this is where we started to see a lot of money come into these altcoins, right? It all happened right here. and now we're retracing into the 4. Now, most likely what I'm expecting to have happen is I think it's going to bleed these alts. I think we'll see mass capitulation across the board, especially on the Bitcoin charts. On the dollar pairs, I'm finding that it's probably more likely that we maintain support. We might get some retraces, but for the most part, I think that the dollar pair will stay strong in this short-term cycle. But now with the 5 wave, the 5 of the 5, I am expecting a parity with alts in Bitcoin. I think that that's where we're going to see these new hype cycles really come in. Maybe it's the top of Bitcoin's 5 wave. Maybe it's the bottom of Bitcoin's 5 wave. It's hard to say, but we're just going to have to kind of watch and see what's going to happen. Oftentimes it happens towards the tail end of Bitcoin's 5 wave, but sometimes it can happen at the start as well. So we're just going to have to really monitor and see what's going to happen with these alts. But overall, it's exciting times to be had. Overall, we are seeing a little bit of a change up from the normal trend that we saw of things going parabolic. I am expecting a retrace on the short term. But like I said, guys, this is all just the cycle. This is why it's important to hold Bitcoin at all times, because if we're not going to get true alt season until the top of this 5 wave, we still have quite a while of consolidation to sit through. So this is what I'm going to be watching out for. I will update you guys as we venture further into this cycle. But really, this is all I had for you guys. Wanted to give you a quick update with kind of what I'm expecting with Bitcoin so that you guys aren't left in the dark wondering what's going to happen. I am expecting a retrace, so make sure if you haven't taken some profits right now, it's probably a good idea to do so. You don't want to be too over leveraged. You don't want to be buying in this time. Wait for Bitcoin to break out and make a higher high before looking to add to positions. And yeah, so this is really what I wanted to share with you guys. I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.